and welcome to the PhD Life Coach podcast. Now, I have a confession to make. If you've read the title of this episode, I have a complicated relationship with instruction manuals. You see, half the time, especially if I'm left to my own devices, it's like instruction manuals don't exist, right? I'm going to get that bit of kit, whatever it is. We just got a new air fryer because we somehow broke the other one. I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to press some buttons. I'm going to assume that I'm clever enough to figure this stuff out in my little non-imposter syndrome way. And I'm going to make it up as I go along. And that means there's going to be a whole load of buttons that I'm never going to use. Hello, washing machine, setting 10, only one I ever use. That's fine. All good. That's half the time. The other half of the time, and this is where somebody else is involved. So my husband has similar opinions about instruction manuals. They don't exist, just crack on. However, when he says that, I suddenly become the instruction manual dictator. No, we have to read the quick start guide, darling. We have to do this properly. I don't know what it is about somebody else behaving the exact same way that I behave that makes me suddenly want to be Little Miss Organised Knickers, but it does. So, I have a complicated relationship with instruction manuals. However, when it comes to looking after ourselves and trying to figure out how we're doing this whole life thing, I actually think they're a really, really useful analogy. So today I am going to be telling you why you need your own instruction manual and like broadly what I think should be in it. If you want more help building one, this is something that we're going to be doing in Q4 of the PhD Life Coach membership, which if you're listening to this live, opens for new members next week. So check it out if you want more support on this. I also have to confess that when I'm recording this, it is the morning after I just watched the first episode of Celebrity Traitors UK. And for those of you who've been around here for a while, you will know I am a big fan of the Traitors. I have been rewatching lots of series in preparation to get myself in the mood ready for Celebrity Traitors. It's got an amazing cast, so I'm a little bit overexcited this morning. So I don't think we're actually going to refer to the Traitors in it at any stage, but I just wanted to warn you that I'm feeling kind of upbeat. It may get mentioned in future episodes. If you haven't seen it, I did do an episode a while ago where it's 9 things or 10 things or however many things you can learn from the Traitors. So if you're a fan too, make sure you check that out and make sure you're following me on Instagram because I will be wittering pointlessly about Traitors in a way that does not relate in any way to PhDs, but will be fun and distracting. So make sure you're following me there if you're not already. So, right, focus. Instruction manuals. That is what we're doing today. Instruction manuals. Why do I think you need an instruction manual? Well, I think we often live our lives the same way that I approach machinery if left to my own devices, which is we just kind of start using it. Okay, we're born into these bodies, we grow up, we're socialized, we're trained, we're all those things, and we just sort of go with it. And we don't necessarily often really stop and think what works really well for us, what doesn't. People who listen to podcasts like this and people who engage in memberships like mine and things like that, we often get a little bit more reflective, right? We start thinking, oh, it helps when I do this. It's not so useful when I do that. We sometimes come up with lots of shoulds about what we should be doing, but we don't often take a minute to just stop and kind of condense that into something that is actually useful. Right? Because we've all had these instruction manuals where they're like massive. They've got 47 different languages, which is wonderful, inclusive, love that. But huge documents, loads and loads of detail, loads and loads of stuff that you don't need. We just don't need them, right? What we need is something that actually helps us get started, helps us figure out what we need to do to it regularly, and helps us if something goes wrong. Those to me are the main things, right? Oh, and where to get further support. So let's say 4 things. How to get started, how we should help it run day to day, troubleshooting, and where to get further support. And I actually think those are the 4 things that we need an instruction manual for ourselves. How to get started of a day, or when you're starting a new project or whatever. What I need to run effectively week to week. Because we've all got, are you one of those people, are you one of those people who's like never taken the fluff out of your tumble dryer, or I shouldn't tell you, but a certain sister of mine never realised that you had to empty a Hoover. I don't know where she thought it was going. I hope she doesn't listen to this. Led to quite a messy mess in the end. So, lesson learned, you need to empty a Hoover. We need to know those things about ourselves. What do we need for our own basic maintenance? And then troubleshooting can be super useful, because if something goes wrong, it doesn't have to be a massive disaster, as long as we know, do I need to turn it off, turn it back on again? Do I need to change something? Are there one or two things I could check to see what's going on? If we know what to do to troubleshoot in these situations, then it doesn't have to be a massive drama. We just follow those steps. And if we know where to go for further support, not only is that useful if we need it, but it's also just kind of reassuring to know it's there, right? That if all else fails, we've got something to fall back on. So what I want to do in today's episode is think through what each of those sections might look like for a human being, a researcher, someone like us, if we were to write an instruction manual for ourselves. Now, who is this manual for? Before we get into the details, I want us to really consider who this manual is for. Because you might be thinking, oh, I can give this to my supervisor, I can give this to my partner, I can give this to my friend or whatever. And I'm going to say, maybe. Maybe. Okay? We don't know necessarily how they'll respond to that. Some of you might know that they'd love it. There are specific circumstances, which I'll tell you about in a second, where I really think we should be sharing these things. But the main person that this instruction manual is for is you. If one person needs to know how to operate this human being that is you, it's you. That sort of self-understanding, that kind of clarity of thought will really help you navigate all the things that are happening in your life at the moment. So this manual is primarily for you. The one time that I would highly recommend sharing it is if you are in a position where sometimes you can't advocate for yourself effectively. So if you have, if you have seizures, if you have periods of mania or depressive episodes, things like that, firstly, you must be getting medical support for this. Do not take anything I say as alternatives for that. But if you are in a position where you have things where you're like, you know what, there are times when I can't implement this for myself, then it's useful for the people around you to have these things. If you're in that sort of situation, I want you to go back and check out an episode I did called How to Look After Yourself When Conducting Emotionally Distressing Work. I had Dr. Tina Skinner and Dr. Sarah Warbis on to talk about this. They're experts in the area, and one of the things they talked about was psychological safety plans. So this is for people who either have psychological conditions, or it does translate to physical conditions, or who are doing work that is very distressing. And having a plan in place as to how to look after yourself is really, really useful. This idea of an instruction manual for yourself is sort of an extension of that, where it's not just if you're in something that is sort of an objectively always emotionally distressing situation. It's accepting that life generally can be challenging and distressing sometimes. And it's taking it further so that it's not just about psychological safety, it's about thriving and enjoying your life too. The other thing I want to say before we get into the details is, I don't want you to take this too seriously. I want you to put fun stuff in this as well. So yes, we can think about what to do if you're feeling stressed. So troubleshooting when you're overwhelmed, for example. And we can think in terms of sensible things. We can think in terms of kind things. But let's also think in terms of fun stuff, right? Let's also think about silly things that help you. So for me, if feeling overwhelmed to the point that you can't work, stick her in front of an episode of The Traitors. She will definitely feel better if you just stick her in front. That is essentially my, restart the computer button. Put me in front of an episode of Traitors. I will come back with opinions about how they should change the rules, what they should have done instead of what they actually did do. Lots of very smug interpretations that absolutely ignore the fact that I would be terrible in the castle in real life. As a viewer, I'm amazing. So keep it lighthearted. So let's think through what these sections could be. And for me, the first one is that quick start that I mentioned. Because often when I talk to my clients and my members, one of the biggest things that people struggle with is getting started on something, whether that is getting started in the morning or whether it's getting started on a new project or getting started on anything, going to a new art class. I just started a new art class. Did I tell you I like hobbies? So getting started on anything new can be challenging for a lot of people. And so one of the things that's useful is thinking through what helps you to get started. If you want to take this human being from not doing the project to doing the project, what do you specifically need? What is effective for you? So as an example, I would have in there something like the purpose and likely efficacy needs to be clear. So I am very bad, as my parents and former employers would tell you, at doing something just because I've been told to, just because it's how we do it. It's what needs doing. Yeah, I'm not so good at that. I need to understand why I'm doing it and why it's useful. Others of you, the quick start guide might be really clear step-by-step instructions, for example. I need that too. Especially if there's a lot of steps in something, I need to know where to start. I don't need necessarily lots of detail, but I do need to know where to start. I'm ashamed to say, the old diet Coke is a very good way to kickstart me. So thinking through, what things do you need to get started? You can think about your physical environment. I don't need a tidy house to get started, which is good, because otherwise I would rarely get started. I do need a somewhat clear desk. If my desk is chaos, then I really struggle. If in doubt, give me a piece of paper and a pen rather than the computer. Happy days. Let's stick that in as a quick start guide. If you just want to get going on a project, encourage me to write about it, encourage me to talk about it. So those might be things that would go into my quick start guide. I want you to think about what would go in yours. Now, I do have a cautionary tale for you. Those of you who spend too much time on self-help Instagram, and if you're here, I suspect you might, if you spend too much time on self-help Instagram, what you might be telling yourself is my quick start guide is I need to get up at 5 a.m. and do 3 morning pages before meditating for 5 minutes, drinking my lemon-infused water, walking for 10,000 steps, and doing my stretches and strength-based workout before the day starts at 8. If you are already doing all those things, happy days. I suspect you don't need my help. I love you. I'm glad you're here. But for most of you, you don't need any of that stuff. You need 1 or 2 bits of it, maybe, possibly, perhaps, sometimes. But that kind of notion of a perfect start is holding you back from starting. So emphasis on the quick bit of quick start. What do you need? Another example for me, quick start, you want me to get going, stick me in a shower, okay? If I get up and get in a shower, get actually proper up rather than deciding that I can work in whatever I've just thrown on without showering, you're going to get much better out of me. Okay? So I want you to think about those things. The kind of bare minimum, this is what would lead to a day or a project starting reasonably well. That's our quick start guide. And then second section is general maintenance. What do you need on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis to stay functioning broadly? This is not about if you're on a big fitness improvement or a big self-improvement of whatever. This is not where you're going to put, I'm trying to read however many books a year or whatever. This is what do you need basic maintenance. Okay, so here you might reiterate stuff about, how often you need showers, things like that. What sort of food keeps you broadly functioning? What sort of social things? Now, for some of you, that will be not too much. Some of you, the maintenance will be no more than 1 social night a week. Others, it will be the other way around. Make sure you spend at least 2 nights a week doing something fun with friends. I'm at that end of things, right? I start to get miserable if I'm not doing things that are hobbies or social. So I need to make sure that even when I'm busy, that stuff gets prioritized in. What else helps? For me, daily knowing what my tasks for that day are, and preferably having that set at least the day before, helps massively. A to-do list that actually has everything on it. Now, if you want more information about my to-do list system, I have a whole podcast episode about how to use role-based task management, and that's still the system that I'm using miraculously 3 years later. I haven't changed it for some new version, which I always used to do. Knowing that all the things I need to do in my business are in the same place and are kind of categorized and stuff helps me function on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. I know that when I get overwhelmed, there's a tendency not to put everything in there, just to think, oh, I just need to get on with things. And that's when it all goes a little bit wrong. So in my manual, I would have stuff about my tasks needing to be in there. Part of your regular care also includes things like sleep. So on a regular basis, by roughly when should we be putting this human being to bed? I stayed up late last night to watch Celebrity Traitors because I'd been at my art class, and so I couldn't watch it live, and I had to watch it before I got back in case I saw spoilers online. Did I mention that I love the Traitors? So I stayed up later last night. I wasn't in bed till like 11, which for me is quite late. I am a tuck me up by 9:30, lights out by 10 kind of a girl. I am also a girl that sometimes feels like she wants to go to bed at 8 when she's exhausted, and part of my regular care instruction manual is do not let her go to sleep before 9, because if she falls asleep at 8:30, she will wake back up at 11:30 and be very confused and unable to get back to sleep. So think through what else would be in your kind of regular care stuff. Personalize this. I cannot emphasize enough, personalize this. If yours says eat enough protein, get 8 hours of sleep a night, and walk 10,000 steps, and do 3 sessions a week of strength training, these are all very worthy things and great, brilliant, let's try and do those. I am actually trying to do most of these things, but I want you to really personalize this to you. Is it really 8 hours? Does it matter whether it's late or early or what? When do you need to be in bed? When do you need to get up? How do we look after this amazing machine that is you? Section 3 is troubleshooting. Okay, and troubleshooting is where we get to identify stuff that's likely to come up, common things that affect you as an individual. And again, these need to be really specific to you. And I want you to think either about a challenging situation that often comes up. So for me, let's say feeling overwhelmed. Okay? Feeling overwhelmed at having too many tasks. And I'm saying too many tasks in like inverted commas because how many is too many? Who knows? But if it feels to me like it's too many, that's a common challenge that I need a response to. The second thing you can have in your troubleshooting guide is warning signs. Okay? Warning signs for me starts cancelling social things. If I start going, I just haven't got the headspace to see my friends, we have a problem. That is a bad sign. That needs some support. That needs some help. The second one for me, if I start eating toast for multiple meals, we also need to intervene. That never goes good places. Okay, so if I'm deciding, you know what, toast's good enough for lunch, toast's good enough for dinner, and I'm doing this in any sort of sustained way, then that I'm going to put that as a warning sign in my troubleshooting guide. Okay, so first job is we get to identify, and let's not overwhelm ourselves. Come up with 5, 6, 7 things that commonly happen to you. Okay, and then we start asking ourselves, in a loving, supporting, compassionate, curious way, and if you don't know how to do that, you need to join my membership because this is what we're going to be working on. What do we do in those situations? Because for most of us, our solution to those things is, I just need to get on with it. I just need to plan an evening out, even though I don't need to. I just need to cook a decent meal. Whatever it is, I don't want it to start with the word just. Because the fact you're finding this challenging means that there isn't a just do this solution, because just implies it's easy. And we ain't going to do that to you. You are finding this hard right now. However, what we're going to do is try and make it feel as easy as possible by having something that's supportive, but also helpful. Okay? Let's take an example. When I am overwhelmed and I think I've got too many things to do, I need to remind myself that it's okay. I need to remind myself that I felt like I've had too many things for a long time. I need to remind myself that I am capable of getting stuff done quite quickly when I pick. And I need to pick one thing that I can crack through and get on with. Because there's nothing my brain likes more than some evidence and actually and some momentum. Once I get some momentum going on a task, I actually smash through things reasonably quickly. My problem is that freeze thing of where you look at all of them. So I need reassurance. I need kindness. Reassurance is that it's okay that you're stressed. Reassurance is not, I'm sure you'll get it all done. That you're liable to get snapped at if you tell me, I'm sure you're doing it. Oh, you always do. Shut up. Not helping. That's not what I mean by reassurance. Reassurance is it's okay. You got a lot of things. No wonder you feel overwhelmed. That's the reassurance. Yeah? But you're capable of doing lots of things. What's the one thing you're going to do right now? Let's do that. That would be my little thing there. The toast thing is one, regular care. Have things that are easy to grab when you're feeling like you can't be bothered to make a meal properly that are not just toast. So that would be in my regular care section. In my troubleshooting section, it's essentially, I'm going to say this in a loving, respectful way to myself, don't believe me. When I tell you that I just really need toast right now, it's not true. It's not coming from the best part of me. It's coming from the carb craving, can't be bothered to think part of me. Two solutions. One, somebody else cook something for me. Two, pick something that's slightly better than toast. I have a tendency to be perfectionist. I suspect many of you guys do too. I have a tendency to believe that if I'm not going to be just eating toast, I should be having a perfectly balanced Buddha bowl with a combination of proteins, carbohydrates, healthy fats, little snacky, crispy things on top, etc., etc. Now, I have made it a lot easier to make those. I'll talk about that another time. But best case, if I'm tempted to have toast for dinner, let's have fish fingers, waffles, and peas. Okay? Actually not that bad. Yes, it's oven food. Yes, it's probably got all the preservatives in it. That is better than toast and butter. Okay? It's got some protein in it. It's got some vegetables in it. It's vaguely got some fiber in it. Let's go. So thinking through for each of your troubleshooty things, what would be a kind and compassionate response? What would you want to do in that situation? And then the final section, just a quick one, is further support, which is reminding you who have you got in your life and what are they useful for? Because different people are good at different things, right? My husband, I choose well. My husband's amazing. He can help me with absolutely everything. Other people, I have some friends that are really good at picking me up when I'm down because they'll make me laugh. They'll take me somewhere ridiculous. They'll distract me. It's amazing. Other friends are really good at helping me prioritize in my business. If I'm trying to make a decision or whatever, I've got people that I can go to and talk that through with. I have people who will listen if I just really need to talk something through without getting offered solutions and things like that. And I can kind of, I'm not going to name them now, but I can kind of picture in my head who these different people are. And so noting down who are the key people, who are the kind of support system here, that if you're struggling, these are the people you can go to for and what they're useful for. So that's what I mean by an instruction manual, is a guide to running you. We have to build it with compassion. This is not about making a perfect version of you that will always function beautifully. This is about creating routines and kind of emergency protocols to implement that will make this feel much easier. As I say, make sure you don't limit it just to dealing with challenges. I want part of your self-care in there to be around how you make your life feel positive. What do you need in your life in order to thrive, not just cope with the things that feel difficult? What stuff makes life feel really fun? We need all that stuff in there too, so that we can support ourselves to build the best PhD academic life we possibly can. If you want some support with that and you're listening to this live, make sure you go to thephdlifecoach.com, click on the membership, you'll find all the details. We are open for new members between the 20th, which is the Monday, and the 21st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, Is that right? 20th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, Friday, whatever date the Friday is, we're open till the Friday. You can join in that time. It's a 3-monthly membership. You'll be in until the end of January. We're going to be talking imposter syndrome. We're going to be talking identifying your strengths, figuring out how to look after yourself. We are going to create our own instruction manuals with support so that you do it in a compassionate, non-judgmental, fun, and thriving kind of a way. Come join us, go and have a little look. If you get on the wait list ahead of time, you will have access to some discounts and to some other little freebies as well. So jump on the wait list. Hope to see lots of you there. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the PhD Life Coach podcast. If you like this episode, please tell your friends, your colleagues, and your universities. I'd appreciate it if you took the time to leave a review, give me stars, stickers, and all that general approval as well. If you'd like to find out more about working with me, either for yourself or for people at your university, please check out my website at thephdlifecoach.com. You can also sign up to hear more about my free group coaching sessions for PhD students and academics. See you next time.